Judging people's top 4 favorite movies. First up is Olivia Rodrigo. She's running a level 5 zoomer build. So her strategy is pretty much just stacking her loadout with movies from the 2010s and the 2020s. For example, in her first 3 slots, she has Gone Girl, Lady Bird, and Worst Person in the World. And to her credit, this is actually higher caliber gameplay than a lot of other zoomer builds. A lot of Gen Z players just opt for a video game brain rot strategy with movies like Five Nights at Freddy's, Mario, or the Minecraft movie. Either that or just loading up on MCU movies, which by the way, there's nothing wrong with that if you're just playing for fun. But if you're playing in competitive rank matches, you're just going to get constantly griefed by film snob enemies. They're just going to keep on calling you basic and spamming you with the idiot attack. So this is where Olivia Rodrigo's build actually has a competitive edge over other zoomer builds, because she primarily focused on equipping critically acclaimed movies. Because of this, she can pretty much just avoid all of the insufferable sweats who make watching movies their entire identity. However, the main weakness of her build is that she's highly vulnerable to old head enemies, because the oldest movie that she's running in her build is Twilight, and that was released in 2008. That's the closest thing she has to classic cinema. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with running Twilight in your build, but she's just gonna get absolutely no diff by these old head enemies spamming the recency bias attack. So for that reason, the highest I can rate her build is B tier. Quentin Tarantino, he's running a level 9 film bro build. And normally film bro builds are pretty vulnerable to film snob attacks, because the film bro strategy is pretty much just equipping a bunch of popular starter pack legendary items. You're just gonna have a bunch of film snobs spamming you with the basic attack. However, in this case, it's a bit different, because Tarantino arguably has the strongest film bro build in the entire game. He's got the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Taxi Driver, Blowout, and Rio Bravo. But then on top of that, he also has one of the most broken special abilities in the entire game, which is that he has a maxed out crafting stat.
I created a subgenre.
I mean, this is just an insanely OP ability, because at any given time, he can just craft his own custom items, and then he can just swap them into his top 4 favorite movies whenever he feels like it.
I love my movies. I'm making them for me. Great. I'm making them for me.
He just has an entire arsenal of custom-made items that he made for himself. For example, he's got Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Glorious Bastards. And these are some of the best film bro items in the entire game. The only real downside with Tarantino's high-level film bro playstyle is that he invested a little bit too heavily into the rage baiting and contrarian stats.
Not a Hitchcock fan.
Really?
Yeah.
He is weak sauce, man. He's just such a weak, uninteresting guy.
This is a massive double-edged sword, because on the one hand, it does give him high authenticity and entertainment value stats, but then on the other hand, it just aggroes massive swarms of enemies. There's only so much damage you can tank when you are getting swarmed by half of the internet. So even though he does have some of the most OP abilities in the entire game, I have to give him a B tier because he's just simply too vulnerable to being attacked by basically everyone. Halle Berry, she's running a level 8 horror connoisseur build. So her 2 main horror items are The Shining and Get Out. I mean, this is a crazy 1-2 punch combo. She's got an all-time classic horror movie, plus one of the best modern horror movies. And on top of that, she equips Steel Magnolias as this niche romance movie from the 80s. I mean, that is just a brilliant move, because it opens up some insane combo attacks with her already stacked horror movie duo. And as the cherry on top, she also equipped The Graduate to boost her film history stats. I mean, this is just one of the most overall versatile builds I've ever seen. This is some seriously elite gameplay. This build really doesn't have any major weaknesses. It has some of the most cracked combo attacks I've ever seen. It's basically a horror connoisseur romance enthusiast hybrid build. I mean, I have to give this an S tier. This is an incredible build. Maya Hawke, she's running a level 4 animation enthusiast build. She's got The Incredibles, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and Robin Hood. Plus, she also equipped Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in her 4 slot, just so she could round things out and have at least one live action movie. And for the most part, this is actually a really solid build. She has one of the best Pixar movies, a classic Disney item, and a Wes Anderson movie to boost her quirkiness stat. The only problem is that she invested exclusively into American animation, so now she's just gonna get attacked by anime snobs, weeb NPCs, and French animation snobs. And okay, these are super niche enemy types, but these are also some of the most relentless and most terminally online enemies in the entire game, so you're kind of picking a fight with the wrong crowd. With that being said, this is still overall a pretty good build, so I'll give it a B tier. Victor Wembanyama, he's running a level 2 Star Wars fanboy build. And right off the bat in his first 2 slots, he equipped Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones, So as you can see, he decided to go with the prequel apologist subclass.
I'm more of a prequel fan.
And this is a super risky move because the Star Wars fan base is one of the most brutal factions in the entire game. You have original trilogy purists bullying prequel apologists. You have prequel apologists bullying sequel apologists. And then you have sequel apologists just getting bullied by everyone. Basically, if you're running a Star Wars fanboy build, your main enemies are most likely going to be other Star Wars fanboys. So in Wemby's case, he is a prequel apologist player, but at least he did equip Empire Strikes Back in his third slot, so at least he does have some defenses against original trilogy purists. Plus on top of that, he disavowed the sequel trilogy in order to increase his DPS against sequel apologists.
When I say Star Wars, I don't count the 3 last.
So yeah, overall, this is a pretty decent PvP build, specifically when it comes to competitive Star Wars servers. But the problem is that he has absolutely no versatility outside of pure Star Wars gameplay. I mean, this build is basically just unplayable in the modern meta. He's just going to get completely decimated in any ranked match that isn't a Star Wars only server. I mean, anyone could just easily obliterate half his HP by spamming him with the noob attack. And okay, to be fair, Wemby is too busy training with Shaolin monks in the off-season to be spending his time adding more movies into his inventory. He does have better things to do, but it is what it is. His top 4 movie gameplay is just not very good. I have to give this an F tier. Anya Taylor-Joy. She's running a level 5 Boomer Nostalgia build. And I would not have expected her to be running a Boomer Nostalgia build, considering that she was born in 1996. But you know what? That just goes to show that anybody can run any build. So anyway, her 2 primary Boomer Nostalgia items are Almost Famous and Forrest Gump. And these are both staple items in Boomer Nostalgia builds. It's pretty much just standard gameplay. But then she decided to pull a crazy move out of left field by also equipping Hawke and Interview with the Vampire. I mean, this is just a wild strategy because now she's maxing out both of her Boomer Nostalgia and fantasy stats. And that is an extremely rare combo. Now she's going to have the upper hand in so many different combat scenarios. I mean, how are Basement Dweller enemies even going to respond to a Forrest Gump Interview with the Vampire combo attack? She's just gonna no-dip them with the element of surprise. Normally, Boomer Nostalgia builds aren't even very good, but because she diversified her loadout and she's running such a crazy hybrid strategy, I'm giving her build an A tier. Chris Hemsworth, who's running a level 4 80s fantasy enthusiast build. And this is a super niche strategy. Right away in his first 3 slots, he's got Labyrinth, Neverending Story, and The Princess Bride. And okay, those are all great items, but dedicating your entire build to one specific niche genre is rarely a viable strategy, especially for something as hyper-specific as 80s fantasy movies. And to be fair, in his 4th slot, he did equip It's a Wonderful Life, so at least his build does have some variety. But then again, the one time he equips a non-80s fantasy movie, he decides to go with a Christmas movie. So basically, he's just min-maxing his entire build for movies you watch over the holidays. So okay, sure, this is a very happy and pleasant strategy if you're just playing for fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But I am ranking these builds based on how viable they are in competitive rank matches. Can they hold up to a bunch of insufferable losers attacking your movie taste? I'm sorry, but this build is just not going to cut it against the sweats. So unfortunately, I do have to give this build a C tier. Greg Sestero from The Room, aka the worst movie ever made.
Anyway, how is your sex life?
He's running a level 8 film connoisseur build. And you gotta give Greg Sestero some credit. The man is living proof that even people who act in bottom of the barrel brain rot movies, they can still compete at the highest levels of competitive ranked gameplay. He's got Sunset Boulevard and Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. These are 2 top tier film historian items. He's also got Back to the Future, which is one of the single greatest blockbuster items in the entire game. This is going to give him some solid defenses against low-level losers who like to spam people with the pretentious attack. And then in his 4th slot, he's rounding things off with the talented Mr. Ripley. I mean, this is one of the most underrated thrillers of the 90s and a solid mid-game item to have in your arsenal. So yeah, NPCs can make fun of Greg Sestero all they want for being in the worst movie of all time, but one thing they can't knock him for is his top 4 favorite movies loadout. He's got a great build. I'm giving this an A tier. Jeff Goldblum. He's running a level 8 Jeff Goldblum build. And yes, you did hear that right. His strategy is equipping 3 of his own movies into his top 4 favorites. He's got Wicked, Nashville, and Grand Budapest Hotel. All of those are movies that he acted in, and by the way, he wasn't even asked to equip his own movies, he just did that on his own. And okay, this does make him vulnerable to being attacked by loser NPC enemies spamming the arrogant and self-centered attacks against him, but his response to that was equipping 2001: A Space Odyssey in his 4 slot. And yeah, putting 3 of your own movies into the same category as one of the best legendary items in the game, that is a power move. He's pretty much just maxing out his confidence stat and his self-promotion stats. And yeah, this does lead him to some vulnerabilities, but you gotta respect an actor being proud of their own work, so I'm giving this an A tier. Elijah Wood, he's running a level 6 legendary director's build. And this is actually a Redux review of Elijah Wood's gameplay. Last time I was reviewing so much gameplay footage that I started to zone out. Once I got to Elijah Wood, I saw he was running a pure childhood nostalgia build and I gave him an F tier. Well, it turns out that he was actually playing in a family movie only server at the time. I totally missed that, so that's my bad. Elijah Wood's actual main build is insanely stacked. For starters, he's running 2 of the best Spielberg items with E.T. and Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, but then on top of that, he's also running Mulholland Drive and Eyes Wide Shut. So in addition to having 2 of the best Spielberg items, he also has a legendary Kubrick item and a legendary David Lynch item. The versatility of this build is off the charts. He's got a perfect balance between cinephile stats from Lynch and Kubrick, but also blockbuster stats from Spielberg. This means he has solid defenses against film stomp enemies, and he can also defend against the pretentious attack. So my apologies for giving Elijah Wood an F tier before. I didn't realize that was just a side build. His main build is absolutely insane. I'm giving this an S tier. Alright, those are some of the best and worst top 4 favorite movie builds in the game. Check out this video right here to see the best and worst movie villain builds.